Welcome back to the 10 top amazing historical facts. We're glad to have you back. In today's video we'll cover 10 maxing historical facts about ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians have long captured our imaginations because of their amazing contributions to humanity. Let us know in the comments your favorite fact or a fact you already knew. Please like and subscribe. Let's get started. Fact 1. Egyptian hieroglyphs were the formal writing method used by the ancient Egyptians. This writing system combined icons and alphabetical elements. We are used to a writing system based on 26 letters, but ancient Egyptian writers and stonemasons used over 2,000 hieroglyphic characters. Hieroglyphs are considered one of the oldest writing systems to have existed in the history of human civilization. They were used to represent common objects from daily life. The origin of Egyptian hieroglyphs is unknown. Hieroglyphs represent the sounds and other perceptions of objects from daily life. Even though the hieroglyphic structure seems rather complex, they are further divided into 3 categories. Understanding its system is relatively straightforward. Fact 2. Egyptian afterlife. The religion of ancient Egyptians put great emphasis on the afterlife. Ancient Egyptians didn't believe that death was not the end, but a mere point in time when the dead waited to be brought back to life. They believed that eternal life could be attained even after death, depending on how their gods passed judgment on them. They would mummify the bodies of their dead relatives and loved ones to make sure they were able to use their bodies again once they were revived in the afterlife. The pharaohs built the most majestic of tombs for their burial, the Great Pyramids. When they died, their bodies were mummified using elaborate embalming methods, and then they were buried along with large quantities of luxury items which they could use in the afterlife. Fact 3. The Great Pyramids of Giza. Thousands of years ago, the ancient Egyptians were one of the richest and most powerful civilizations on earth. In those days, the pharaohs built a number of majestic burial sites called pyramids. The pyramids of Giza in particular are the most spectacular man-made structures ever made. The first of these pyramids was built as the burial site for a king of the 3rd dynasty, Djoser, around 2630 BC in Saqqara. There are 3 other major pyramids at Giza, of which the largest was built for Khufu, a pharaoh whose reign was primarily known for the magnificence of these pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza was a construction of such proportions that it remained the tallest man-made structure for an unprecedented 3,871 years. Fact 4. Egyptian women had a wide range of rights and freedoms. Women in ancient Egypt enjoyed a great deal of legal and financial independence. They could buy and sell property, serve on juries, make wills, and even enter into legal contracts. Egyptian women did not typically work outside the home, but those who did usually received equal pay for doing the same jobs as men. Egyptian women also had the right to divorce and remarry. Egyptian couples are said to have also negotiated contracts similar to prenuptial agreements. These contracts listed all the property and wealth the woman had brought into the marriage and guaranteed that she would be compensated for it in the event of a divorce. Fact 5. Egyptian workers were known to organize labor strikes. Egyptian workers were not afraid to protest for better working conditions. The most famous example came in the 12th century B.C., during the reign of the New Kingdom pharaoh Ramses III. When laborers engaged in building the royal necropolis at Deir el-Medina did not receive their usual payment of grain, they organized one of the first recorded strikes in history. The protest by the workers took the form of a sit-in. The workers simply entered nearby mortuary temples and refused to leave until their grievances were addressed. The sit-in worked, and the laborers were eventually given their overdue rations. Fact 6. Egyptian board games. The ancient Egyptians enjoyed playing board games during their free time. In fact, there were a number of board games like Mayan and Mancala, but most popular was Senet. Senet is a hieroglyphic board game that was played in ancient Egypt as far back as 3100 BC. Even Pharaoh Tutankhamun had a copy of the Senet board in his tomb. Senet is a 2-player game that was played on decoratively carved boards like the one in King Tut's tomb or simply on a board drawn on the ground. The board has 30 squares drawn out in 3 rows of 10 squares each. Not all the squares were carved with hieroglyphs. The carved hieroglyphs were symbols that represented good or bad omens and changed the course of play accordingly. Fact 7. Contrary to popular belief, the pyramids were not built by slaves but were built by laborers and artisans. Instead, the life of a pyramid builder wasn't easy. The skeletons of workers commonly show signs of arthritis and other ailments. These pyramids workers were a mix of skilled artisans and temporary hands, and some appear to have taken great pride in their craft. Fact 8. Both ancient Egyptian men and women wore makeup. Both men and women were known to wear generous amounts of makeup, which they believed gave them the protection of the gods Horus and Ra. Ancient Egyptians made cosmetics by grinding ores like malachite and galena into a substance called kohl. It was then generously applied around the eyes with utensils made out of wood, bone and ivory. Women would also stain their cheeks with red paint and use henna to color their hands and fingernails. Also, both men and women wore perfumes made from oil, myrrh and cinnamon. The Egyptians believed that their makeup had magical healing powers, and they weren't entirely wrong. Research has shown that the lead-based cosmetics worn along the Nile actually helped prevent eye infections. Fact 9. Ancient Egyptian society has doctors who specialized fields, different medical fields. Physician in Encuentro, Egypt were jack of all trades. Evidence shows that Egyptian doctors sometimes focused on healing only one specific part of the human body. This early form of medical specialization was first recorded in 450 B.C. by the traveler and historian Herodotus. Discussing Egyptian medicine, he wrote, "Each physician is a healer of one disease and no more, some of the eye, some of the teeth, some of what pertains to the belly." These specialists even had specific names. Dentists were known as doctors of the tooth, while the term for proctologist literally translates
10.
to shepherd of the anus. Egyptians were fond of animals and many kept different kinds of animals as pets. The Egyptians saw animals as incarnations of the gods and were one of the first civilizations to keep pets in their household. Egyptians were particularly fond of cats, who they associated with the goddess Bastet. They also revered for hawks, ibises, dogs, lions and baboons. Many animals held a special place in the Egyptian home, and they were often mummified and buried with their owners after they died. Other creatures were specially trained to work as helper animals. As an example, Egyptian police officers used dogs and even trained monkeys to help them when out on patrol. Thank you for watching this video today. We hope you learned something new about the ancient Egyptians. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.